All right, so as you can see, threw a couple of coats of paint on the subframe. Did not really do a great job prepping it, so some of the paint's flaking off, but that's fine. I don't really care. I just wanted to make it look somewhat clean temporarily. Finally got these Revshift bushings in. These are replacing the stock rubber bushings. I went with the 95 durometer style, so they're green. They really pop. That's not the reason why I went with it. The 95 durometer is really the best combination between track and street use. These are obviously much stiffer than stock, but it's going to decrease any deflection in the rear subframe. So I got the subframe mounts there. I also got the differential mounts as well. One of these I'll be installing on the subframe, which is this bushing right here. That's going to be going on as well. But I'm just going to take you through the process of more or less how to install these subframe bushings. Pretty straightforward, much easier than rubber bushings. Just a matter of splitting them and installing them and putting the sleeve in. And before we get started, they do include the silicone lubricant for installation with their kits. But I also have more or less the same lubricant right here. Super Lube is what I'll be using. And it's basically just a synthetic grease with some PTFE in it. But you do not want to install any kind of polyurethane bushing without lubrication. They'll make all sorts of terrible noises and probably prematurely wear as well. So let's get into it. All right, so before we can install the bushing or any of these bushings, we have to separate them. So it's two halves and they're held together with these sleeves. Now, technically you should be able to separate them by hand, but these are pretty tight, so I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to try to do that. Instead, I'm just going to drive the pin out, or that centering sleeve out, using an impact socket and hammer. Got that one out. Also, if you have like one of those C-style or C-clamp style presses, that would work as well. Another thing I wanted to point out, on all the Revshift bushings, they are engraved, so it tells you which position the bushing is in and which half goes where. So this will be the forward bushing, and this is the top portion. So there's no confusion about what goes where. I also noticed that they did some really nice machining on the polyurethane to slide into the upper portion of the forward mount. Basically where it's mounted, there's a portion of the subframe there where, a regular flat machining like this, it would not fit into place. So that was kind of cool that it was done like that. My initial impression here, these are really, really nice. And obviously they have a really good following. So, no shock there. So I'm going to install the rear bottom first. And to start, I'm going to take some of this lube. And just put a nice coating around it, like so. Again, you really don't want to install polyurethane bushings without lubrication. And just going to take a dead blow hammer and start driving this in. You can hear the sound change when it bottomed out. That's how you know you're fully in. Just put some lube on that. And now we're going to go ahead and lubricate the sleeve. And that's literally how easy it is to press these bushings in, or knock them in my case. You could use a press if you wanted. No need. Just dead blow hammer. They pretty much self-center, so super easy. I'm just going to go ahead and get the forward bushings installed. You know, I made note about that forward upper bushing, or upper half of the bushing. You can see this lip around here. So when we install this, just need to make sure that this recessed area lines up with that portion right there. Pretty straightforward. Just want to mention the installation other than that is identical. Oh yeah, it's green, it's awesome. Press the single front bushing into the subframe with the wider bushing shoulder toward the front of the car. That's what we're gonna do. Same thing. I put a little bit of this lubrication on it. Nice thin coat. Like so. Nice. Beautiful. Well, that actually goes in by hand pretty much. Just gonna give it a couple of taps to get the rest of the way in. There, and we're done. Alright, so that's the entire procedure for installing the Revshift subframe bushings into an E36 subframe. Of course, most of this is going to be the same for just about any polyurethane bushing. You really want to make sure that everything is lubricated, that you are using a synthetic lubrication, not a petroleum base, because that will absolutely destroy polyurethane. That's a big no-no. It's going to be a minute before this gets installed back in the car. I still got to press out the diff bushings on the diff cover, which I'll be doing in a later video. And outside of that, really nothing else to do with the subframe until we reinstall in the car in another month or so, when spring finally arrives. But making good progress. Like I said, the engine build is done. Everything else is pretty much just waiting to go back in the car. And you know, up until this point, just kind of doing a couple of small projects here and there to keep the flow going, but we'll get to the point where everything goes back in the car, then we can just drive it, go to the track, rip off some fast lap times, be a pro, etc., etc., etc. But thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. Check out Revshift. Really like their product. I always have. So glad that I can finally get it installed on one of my own cars. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Plenty more videos coming. And also follow me on the Instagram, all the other social media whatnots. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you for the next one.